From Ontario, I'm joined by Jason Unruhe, who's a political commentator. Let's ask Jason about his opinion on this special day in Iran.
Well, I think this is very significant. This is a celebration of certain milestones that are being made in the development of nuclear technology. Well, the right to peaceful nuclear technology is something that the entire world should have. I mean, it's certainly very obvious that the world is going to be suffering from peak oil very soon. There's going to be, oil is going to run out one day, and everybody needs this technology. I don't know what it is that certain countries think who others shouldn't have this kind of nuclear technology are supposed to do when this runs up. But this is a day of celebration that Iran has continued to develop all kinds of nuclear energy all along general nuclear technology, despite protestations by many of the imperialist countries, including the Israeli regime. The Iranian people have every right to stand up and to develop their own peaceful nuclear program to serve their own needs. Iran is a growing country, just as every country is, and self-sufficiency in this area and in terms of the generation of electricity is certainly a very important thing when dealing with many of the aggressions that are being carried out by those same imperialist states. So I think that it's definitely a cause to celebrate. It is a cause that is worthwhile to plow through if if one does love their own country and want it to remain independent from the influences of the imperialist powers. So I think that Iranians should celebrate this day and be very happy about it, and even maybe so far as to flout it in the face of those who have certainly stood against them and their right to develop that kind of peaceful technology. We heard Rouhani thank many people, many sectors of the general Iranian society for their contribution towards developing this kind of technology. Obviously, most predominantly the IRGC for standing together and protecting many of these sites, protecting many of the scientists, especially considering that in the not too distant past, Iranian nuclear scientists have been assassinated by the regime in Israel,
That's
and
right.
those people
Hmm.
certainly do need that kind of protection.
And speaking of the IRGC, Jason, it's the official part and parcel of the Iranian armed forces. It's been there since the victory of the Islamic Revolution some 40 years ago. I mean, in the first place, how can definition of terrorism be changed? Terrorism has a total different definition by standard. And I don't know by what kind of standard or criterion Mr. Trump can call the military of an independent country as a terrorist organization. And IRGC, as you also mentioned, has been contributing a lot to scientific progress in different areas.
Well, certainly the United States can define anything they want, anything they don't like as being terrorism, and that seems to be the case. The main problem with the definition of terrorism is that any definition you come up with, it can be equally applied to just about any military in the entire world. But let's be honest, the United States is labeling the Iranian Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist organization in order to justify and in order to get others to restrict many of the activities that the Revolutionary Guard does carry out. Well, when you label something as a terrorist organization, any kind of financial transactions that have something to do with them end up becoming blocked, end up becoming something that other countries will may in fact be punished for carrying out. The RGC is like just like all militaries across the world. They have a supply chain of much of the technology and the supplies that they need, and these are supplied by sometimes state companies, sometimes by private companies. And this desire to list them as a terrorist organization is intended to impede that kind of flow of supplies that generally any military needs. And I think that that's really the case here. They're trying to weaken the Revolutionary Guard by cutting down on the amount of supplies that they can have, and this comes at a very terrible time when many of the floods are still being dealt with And obviously, when you have a natural disaster such as that, you're going to need even more supplies in order to deal with people who are injured, people who are now homeless, to take care of, mainly above all else, medical
Yeah.
needs. And for the United States to decide to do that at this time to hinder that is
I,
certainly
on
unconscionable.
top of that, Jason, the U.S. also stopped the flow of aid and contribution to Iranian flooded people. The Iranian expatriates were not able to actually send the money they wanted to help, and in many other ways. Also, we need night vision goggles for our helicopters, and they couldn't operate at night, and that kind of slowed down the operation. Thank you for that, Jason Unruhe, political commentator who joined us from Ontario, commenting on the 13th anniversary of the National Day of Nuclear Technology here in Iran. And